You want to make sure that a couple of weeks before you begin thinking about applying any makeup onto your face, that you begin treating your face properly. So a couple of weeks before I started even thinking about how am I going to do my makeup, I started thinking about skincare. So first off, I already had the Clarisonic. The one I have is the Mia. I'm not sure if this is a Mia 1, Mia 2. I'm assuming it's just a regular Mia. So the brush head that it does have is the original because I do have sensitive skin. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get anything that was going to aggravate or irritate my skin. So I always stuck to the original. Because I did have that, I invested in some very good skincare. I'm not saying this is the one you should buy. This is just something that personally worked for me. So with my Clarisonic, what I would do, I would start with the Herbalife Skin Polishing Citrus Cleanser. This works magics for people with oily skin. It works for me, and I keep using it even after my wedding. I use the also Herbalife Skin Instant Reveal Berry Scrub. This is more of an exfoliator, but it's not so rough on your skin where you it feels like it's like taking off all your skin cells. No, it's very gentle. And last but not least was also from the same line, and it is the Purifying Mint Clay Mask. This feels very refreshing on the skin, just as all the other ones did as well. Only that this one, I feel really takes out the last impurities that pretty much got stuck in there. So these are some of the things that I used a couple weeks beforehand. Before I even begin to apply makeup, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the e.l.f. Lip Exfoliator. This is gonna allow for my lips to prime a little bit before we apply any makeup and just have a very smooth canvas. So next, I'm gonna apply a little bit of moisturizer. The one I'm using today is my Cetaphil Oil Control moisturizer. It's up to you, but me, because I tend to get a little bit of fallout when I am applying my makeup, I choose to do my eyebrows first and then my eyeshadow, because if I do get any fallout, it's easier to just clean that area up than just to get a wipey, clean everything up, and then start all over with the foundation. So for that, I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the color, what is it? Dark brown. Also the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the color dark brown as well. You do want something to look a little bit more natural, nothing too dramatic. I mean, if you're used to dramatic eyebrows, go for it. It's whatever you please, but I mean, it's your wedding day. You don't want to look like all drawn up. You want to look very soft. The brush I'm using is the Anastasia number 12 brush. I believe it's a double-ended one. Very lightly begin to shape your brows. I start on the inner part of the brow and the bottom. That is where I do apply a little bit more product. Don't worry if you overdraw them, get out of line or anything of that matter, because we don't have any makeup whatsoever. This allows us to go back and pretty much just fix whatever mistakes we do make. Without picking up any more product, I go back in and then just begin to fill everything out as lightly as possible. On the inner part of the brow, I do go a little bit more light-handedly because I don't want it to look so dark. Just comb the brush through the brows. Make sure all the product is brushed thoroughly. Then I go in with my Brow Wiz and then just fill in any gaps that I see. Especially at the end of my brow, I do fill in it in. Well, just basically I just elongate that tail. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to speed through this process because you did already see me do the other one, and I do have a full-on video on how I do my brows. Alright, so because my eyebrows don't quite look like sisters, I go back in with a little bit of concealer just to define those edges a little bit more, and the concealer I'm using is the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the color Creamy Beige. Pretty much just you're carving out your brow, like I said before in other videos and will continue to say. And this also works as a brow bone highlight, so you kill two birds with one stone. And there you have the more defined brow, and this one still needs a little bit more shaping, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to this brow over here, and then I'll be right back. Alright, now that we're done with our brows, I'm going to go ahead and prime my eye. The one I'm using is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This is the original packaging, the original formula. What I'm going to do, now that my eyelids are primed, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Ulta Rose Gold palette. This is something I mentioned in a recent haul. The colors are beautiful. They're very very bridal almost looking. It has a lot of shimmers in it, a lot of mattes, which is something that we can mix together. So that is exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to begin applying a very light base from this same palette, and it is in the color Breathless. It is this one right here. It is in the bottom row of the palette. So I'm going to begin applying that all over the eyelid and on the other one as well. Once that is down, I'm going to go in with my Makeup Geek Creme Brulee shadow. This is a very nice transition color, so that's the reason I chose that one. And I'm using just any flat, any fluffy crease brush that I have. So I'm just going to apply that from the outer corner of my crease all the way to the inner corner to make sure that is very blended and give my eye a little bit more of a round shape. And in the outer corner of my crease, I'm just going to go ahead and wing it out a bit to give my eye a little bit of a cat eye shape, not a cat shape. And I do the same thing to the other eye. With a more precise crease brush, this is the Morphe M511. It almost looks like the MAC is it 217 brush? I believe that's what it is. I'm going to go in with my Ulta palette, and in the color Desert, I'm going to apply that all over the outer corner of the eye and a little bit up on the crease as well. So I first apply it on the top portion of my crease, and then I slowly bring it down to the lower V of the eye. I don't bring this one all the way into the inner corner of the eye, only because I want to keep that a little bit empty to put a little bit of highlight later on. And as you can see, I am putting the brush a little bit upward just to give me more control of where I put the shadow. Once that is blended with the same brush, I pick up a little bit more color and apply some of that onto the outer V of the eye. Then I go back in with my same Sephora fluffy brush and I just blend everything we just did. I went ahead and did the same thing to the other eye with the same brush, going back and forth, blending it, applying the product with this one, blending it a little bit more, and further diffusing the color with this fluffy Sephora brush. It is their crease brush. So once that is done, I'm going to go back into that same Ulta palette and pick up the color, what is it, Sweetheart, this one right here. It is in the same bottom row. This is their matte colors. The top row is their shimmery colors, more champagne colors. So I'm going to go in with the color Sweetheart in the Morphe M514 brush. This is a more precise brush, so I'm going to apply that onto the outer corner to add more depth into it and add more color, make it look a little bit more sultry. And I am going very light-handed with this because I don't want it to look too dark. So don't worry if you get out of the corners or out of the edges, because we will be applying concealer later on to highlight. We will be able to define those edges a little bit more. So I'm going to pick up the same color with the same brush and apply it onto the other eye, and I'll be right back. I am now going to go back in with my Morphe M551 brush, 511 brush actually, just to further blend everything we just did. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this color right here. It is the center of the top row of that palette. By that, I'm going to use my Morphe M412 brush. Once I'm done applying my shadow, I go in with the same LA Girl Creamy Beige concealer and use the same Sephora concealer brush, which is the anti-crease, just a little brush that came in a little Christmas collection. And I'm just going to clean up the edges that I have on my shadow to give it more of a crisp line. So the same brush, a little bit of concealer, and then just begin cleaning up those edges. Once my shadow is done, I'm going to begin applying my foundation. The one I'm using today is the L'Oreal Paris Infallible Pro Matte 24-Hour Lasting Foundation. This is extremely matte because I do have oily skin. I'm going for a more matte effect, matte look. So if you did have a little bit more dry skin, For drugstore foundation, I would really recommend something that doesn't have any SPF in it, because you don't want that white cast flashback on your pictures, especially these are pictures you're going to have for the rest of your life. You don't want to look like a ghost. So drugstore, for somebody with oily skin, I do recommend this one right here. Or even if you're looking for something more upscale, more what's the word I'm looking for, more high-end foundations, Double Wear foundation is the bomb. That one is amazing. I did use Double Wear for my own wedding. What I'm going to use is the Smashbox Photo Finish primer. This is really good. It hides all the pores, not completely, but at least gives you a very seamless and flawless canvas. So when you do apply your foundation, it stays on and glides on amazing. I'm gonna pretty much just massage that everywhere. I want to hide those pores and hide those imperfections. And for me, it is my T-zone, my forehead. Just massage that onto those areas and a little bit on my chin. To apply that foundation, I'm going to use my Morphe M439 brush. This brush is amazing to get a very flawless and full coverage effect with your foundation. That is the reason I'm using that one today. So by no means am I telling you that this is how you should apply your foundation. This is just a suggestion. This is something that works for me, something that really worked for me on my own wedding day. And this is just, you know, options. Look for your options. There are a gazillion of videos on YouTube of how to apply your foundation. Not just that, but how to apply your makeup for your wedding. There are just so many options out there. This is just one. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. The reason I am working in sections is because this foundation is matte and dries very, very quickly. You have to work a little bit quickly because of that, and work in sections. It's almost like my Maybelline matte and poreless foundation. So I'm pretty much just pushing that into the skin, down onto my neck. If you are wearing a strapless dress for your wedding, make sure that the foundation you get matches your neck and your chest, because if it doesn't, you're probably just gonna end up having to blend that all the way down to wherever your dress is showing. And boy, that is not going to be fun. So blend it all the way down. Then I apply a little bit more on my forehead, and yeah. Now, while that sets, I am going to begin applying my concealer. The one I'm using is the same LA Girl Pro Conceal. This one does not budge. It is amazing. So I'm just going to apply that in the way I always apply it, in a V. I am going more heavily than usual when applying this because I want that center of the face to be the high point and the highlight of this whole entire look. Alright, and to blend that concealer all the way through, I am using my Morphe M173 brush. It is this one right here. It is similar to my Real Techniques All Over eyeshadow brush, only that this one is a little bit more dense, so it's a little bit bigger. So I really like this one. So I'm just going to blend that all the way throughout my lower part of the eye. This is really going to bring highlight to that bottom portion of your eye and bring attention to the center of your face, which is exactly what we want. I go back in with my foundation brush and then just buff those edges. That is set, I go back in with my same LA Girl Pro Conceal, pick up a little bit more product with that same Morphe brush and apply that onto the bridge of my nose, a little bit on my cupid's bow, my chin, as well as my forehead. Then I go back in with my same foundation brush and then just blend that out. And also set that in with that same setting powder, the Laura Mercier one. Now that we're done with our concealer, I can go ahead and begin with my contour, because I do want to go a little bit more natural. I'm using my tried and true Sephora Los Cabos bronzing powder, and to apply that, I am going to apply that with my Sigma large angled contour brush, the F40, which is this one right here, and then this is the contour shade that I'm using for today. It is not going to be anything too harsh. It is just going to be enough to warm up the face. So let me zoom you in a little bit more so you can see exactly where I'm doing it. So I am applying it at the high points of my cheekbones, not the high point, sorry, where my cheekbones begin, which is just a little bit below my ear. So you can either go like that or just turn to the side and see exactly where that is. Apply that onto the temples as well. You can see for me, it is right here. I'm also going to apply that on my forehead. And on my jawline. Just to chisel that area a little bit more. And I also bring that down to my neck. And when I say to my neck, I mean like this part right here. Just to define that a little bit more. Keep in mind that my contour is not anything too harsh. It's not like I am completely chiseling out my face. This is just enough to bring more definition to my cheekbones, because our face will be very, very matte. So once that is done, I'm going to begin contouring my nose. And for that, I'm using my Morphe M164 brush and the same Los Cabos bronzing powder. So I'm going to pick a little bit of that up and begin contouring my nose. To do so, I'm going to do what I always do, kind of do that with my nose. That. You see it? So sexy. So I'm going to do that and just begin contouring. Always go back in with your finger very lightly. So now that our contour is done, I'm going to go in and begin applying a little bit of blush. So the blush I'm using, you want something that's not going to have a lot of shimmer in it, because you want it to reflect, but you don't want to look like just some big ball of glitter. So you could use something more matte. The one I always choose is my NYX Mauve, powder blush. The one I'm using today is from this e.l.f. blush palette. The color I'm going to use is this one right here. It is very mauve-y. It is a very dark rose color. And to apply that, I'm going to use a stippling brush. A stippling brush is going to allow me to have more control of how much product I apply and pretty much eliminate any excess product, so we won't look like just a ton of rosy colors on our faces. So just enough to bring some flush back onto the face. So there's that. So as you can see, it brings back a little bit more flush, but not too much to where it's just like bam, you got blush on. For highlight, I'm going to use a shadow. As I mentioned before, there are no rules to makeup, so you can pretty much use whatever you'd like. For highlight, I'm using this shadow from Morphe brushes, and it is in the number 4. It is a very nice champagne-y color. And I'm using just this little baby mini fan brush that I have. So I'm just going to pick a little bit of that up and apply that onto the high points of our cheek. I'm not sure if you can see, but it does add a little bit of glisten onto that. I'm going to do the same thing to my Cupid's bow. Now that our face is done, I'm going to begin applying my gel liner. The one I'm using today is my also little tried and true L'Oreal Blackest black liner. And to apply that, I'm going to use my e.l.f. angled brush, which is the one I always use. This one is amazing. It's so inexpensive. Really, I'm just looking out for y'all's wallet. So that is the one I'm using today. So I'm going to apply liner like I usually do, only this time I'm going to wing it out a little bit more because we will be applying falsies. So following the bottom portion of our lash line, just begin winging that out. Alright, so now that both sides of my liner have been applied, I'm going to go ahead and begin pretty much just shading the lower lash line. And to do that, I'm going to go and use the same Ulta Rose Gold palette that I use. And I am going to use a small tapered brush, the Morphe M514, yes. And I'm going to go in with the color Desert, the one that we previously used with that same brush. Use a little bit of that one and a little bit of Sweetheart, the color that is right next to it. So essentially it's this one and this one right here, so these two colors. And I am applying that from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner. I'm gonna go ahead and tightline my upper lash line. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to use this NYC Duo eyeliner pencil. It has a black at one end and a white on the other one. So I'm just going to tightline my bottom lash line using the white one. And just to make it a little bit easier, all I'm going to do is pull down my bottom lash line and tightline. So now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and give these bad boy lashes a little curl, little squeezy, and I'm going to give them a very thin coat of mascara and apply my false lashes. The one I'm using today are the Ardell Strip Lashes. This is a six-pack. It is the Demi Wispies. These are amazing. They look very natural. They give your lashes just enough volume to where they look a little bit more full. So I'm going to go ahead and curl these lashes. Alright, so now my falsies are on, my eyeliner is done. I am done smoking out my bottom lash line. The mascaras I ended up using were the Rimmel Lash London Accelerator. I also used my Voluminous Curved Brush Mascara, and last but not least, I used my Mega Length by Wet n Wild. Yes, I used 3 because I am weird. So for my bottom lash line, I used my Mega Length first, and then I added a little bit of the Voluminous, the curved brush by L'Oreal, and then to the top lashes I applied a little bit of the lash accelerator, and then also a little bit of this L'Oreal voluminous mascara. So now that our face is done, to set our makeup you can either use a NYX, well, not a NYX, but you can use a translucent powder. The one I have here is by NYX. It is their HD finishing powder in the color, obviously, translucent. Or you can go with a finishing powder or just any powder, just finishing powder, I guess, and with a tint in it. One option is the Cover FX finishing powder. This is in the shade medium. This is the one I used on myself for my wedding. So if you want something more lightweight on your skin, you can go for the translucent, or if you want more coverage, you can go with the Cover FX or just any finishing powder that you have. Today I'm going to use my translucent HD finishing powder. I'm just going to apply that onto the center of our face, just all over, just to set everything we did today. So for my lips, I am going to use these two combos today. I'm using my Revlon Rose Velvet lipstick in the color Rose Velvet, obviously. This is their Cream Lime. The color is very nude, nothing too drastic. You could go for red. I mean, if you want to be bold for your wedding day, go for it. And for the what is it called, the lip gloss or lip stain, I'm using the Luster Matte by Sephora. This is the one I also used on myself for my wedding day. The color is a very mauve color, so I think personally this will look very good on anybody. The lip liners, if you want to use any, these are two very good options. This is the NYX Natural Lip Liner and the Lip Liner in Coffee. These are very beautiful colors. So the one I am using today, it is the Natural Lip Liner, and I'm just going to go ahead and line my lips. Go ahead and apply my lipstick. So now that my lipstick is done, I'm going to go ahead and apply this lip gloss. And really, this is it. I mean, this is something so easy. Anybody can really achieve this look. Just a little bit of practice, a little bit of patience to blend everything in. I did my own makeup within an hour because I was not in a hurry, but I wanted to make sure everything was very well done. So it took me approximately about an hour. So I took my time because this video is pretty much just into the point. I just try to do it as quickly as possible. If there's anything I missed, feel free to ask me those questions down below. I would really appreciate it. I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can, because me being a bride before, I know that I had so many questions. I watched so many videos on how to do my makeup, and really a lot of the videos on YouTube help me. At the end of the day, it's what you feel comfortable with. If you're more natural, go more natural. If you're really bold, go for that red lip, girl. More power to you, like I've always said. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of accessory so you can see what it looks like when everything is done. This is with my veil, my cute little stud earrings, my bracelet. This is a bracelet of choice. This is the one I did actually use on my wedding day. And obviously these are the rings I used. These are not the exact earrings I used. I guess I just misplaced my own earrings, but this will do for now. I actually added a little bit of the Morphe 04 shadow into the inner duct just to brighten up that area. And to set the makeup, I just set it with my Urban Decay De-Slick makeup setting spray. This is the oil control one, so this is going to make sure that your makeup stays on all night, which is something that you really want. It's something very essential. You want to make sure that your makeup stays on all night, doesn't slip off your face, and just looks flawless and effortless. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope your wedding is magical and beautiful just as you imagine it to be, because that's what I thought mine was, and it actually came true. I really hope you liked this video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you do choose to recreate it, don't forget to tag me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you would like. I really hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and best of luck and wishes. Mwah.